Over the last week or two, we've had some leaks when it comes to the plot of Star Wars Starfighter. That's right, Starfighter. The one with Ryan Gosling of all people. Is he going to be enough to save the franchise at the box office? We've had a disappointing showing with The Mandalorian and Grogu only bringing in just shy of $300 million. However, it does seem like Disney executives are not too concerned. Now, I can imagine being in their shoes. They're probably going to make tons of money off of merchandise. So it probably really isn't that big of a deal. They're probably going to get it on the back end through streaming and all of these other things when it comes to The Mandalorian and Grogu. But when it comes to them trying something new with Starfighter, are they going to be able to get people to lock in to these new characters, which we do have more information about now. So let's get into this and we'll discuss my thoughts. All right, so we have it. Major Star Wars Starfighter plot leak discloses roles for Ryan Gosling, Mia Goth, and more. So pretty exciting stuff here. And again, I kind of did a little skim through all of this information, and I think you guys will like it. At least it got me kind of excited for more Star Wars coming next year, right? So it's set 5 years after the events of Rise of Skywalker, supposed to come out May 28th of 2027. Standalone film positioning itself as a high stakes, big hearted family space adventure, but with a heavy dose of criminal underworld grit. Now, this kind of reminds me of something like Andor. It's kind of underworld. Skeleton Crew, I felt was kind of the same thing, which me and my wife actually genuinely liked Skeleton Crew. I don't know about you guys, but we thought it was quite enjoyable. We're kind of sad that it got canceled. We actually sat down and watched that every week. Um, Now, with this, it does say standalone film. This is where I wonder, will Ryan Gosling be back? I don't think Ryan Gosling will be back per se, or maybe some of the other characters, which I'll touch on here in a second. But I do think some of them will be back. So moving on, this comes from the leak or the leak comes from Fives Walker. He is on X. If you want to check him out, you can follow him. And apparently, he's been right about most of the leaks that he's had in previous past. He's been pretty spot on and accurate. So we have confirms that Ryan Gosling is to play the central protagonist, an isolated, cynical pilot trying to make his life rebuilding in the galaxy. And this is the little kid. So we have his mother, Amy Adams, is force sensitive, and so is he. At the beginning of the film, she is killed, but in her dying moments, she gives her son a lightsaber and tells him to go find his uncle, who he's never met. The kid's pretty smart and manages to get off world, finding his uncle in a cantina, a washed up pilot, which that is Ryan Gosling, and a war hero haunted by his past. So it seems pretty typical for what you would get as far as like a Star Wars story. The mission: Ryan Gosling's character is thrust into a sudden protective role when he is forced to look at after his nephew, played by newcomer Flynn Gray, which he has this lightsaber. He comes to a disgruntled pilot. He's like, "Yo, kind of seems like Luke Skywalker needing help from Han Solo." I get it. It's a totally different situation, but there are some parallels there. The mother's plea, Amy Adams, which we at this point, she's dead. I don't think she'll be coming back. Amy Adams plays Gray's mother, Gosling's sister. The inciting incident of the film features her sending her son away with his uncle to protect him from a mysterious connection to the Force that has drawn the wrong kind of attention. So I think we'll get what that wrong kind of attention is here in a second. But force sensitive kid, they're sending him like, hey, look, let's try to find someone to train this kid, is kind of what it seems like. Go find someone who can protect him and have him live up to his abilities. Maybe potentially Amy Adams was planning to train him, but couldn't. They got to her first. I don't know. There's a lot of speculation here at this point. So Shawn Levy has previously teased that our heroes will be pursued across the galaxy by a dangerous duo of antagonists. We now know exactly what the pairing looks like, and we'll get into that here. So the enforcer, Mia Goth, who described filming the project as one of the best experiences of her career, is playing the lead female villain. Far from a Sith Lord, her character is described as a ruthless, high calculating mercenary or bounty hunter, specializing in capturing force sensitive individuals for an elite underground syndicate. I'll read this second. I got some thoughts on that. So the brains Matt Smith is locked in as Goth's partner. The leak describes Matt as a warlord who is infamous across the galaxy. This kind of reminds me of Maul being like this underground syndicate and having these warlords kind of in the shadows that you don't really see. And now they're making some of these in this at least movie. They're kind of just showing some of that. I think they have had some success doing that with Maul in animated, showing all of that. Now let's see if this can translate to the big screen. I think it will. I think even in the Ahsoka series with Balin and Shin, I liked seeing that. How does that translate though to a 2 hour movie that comes together in just 2 hours? That's cohesive story and sets something else up, because that's what we've been missing. We haven't had anything like, it's been really slow. We had Ahsoka set up kind of this big cliffhanger with Balin showing like the Force gods, and now we have to wait. Unfortunately, RIP to the actor, uh, which that maybe have caused some delays as well. And we should be getting that in 2027. Maybe that will have some sort of connection to this movie, since that I believe comes out before. You just never know. I doubt it, but one can hope. Some additional stuff here. Mia Goth will be playing a force sensitive lightsaber using character. She will be working for the warlord dealer Matt Smith, which was kind of covered already, who is infamous across the galaxy. And yes, she is on the hunt for Ryan Gosling's nephew. There have been various rumors saying she's a Sith cultist. Those are false. I would describe her more as a mercenary. While she has ties to Matt Smith's character, she has her own agenda and plans that might involving training a certain someone. So maybe she's trying to take the kid. So maybe she's really just after this kid to train them. The big thing here is the leak does nothing to cast rumors that the Star Wars Starfighter is meant to serve as a bridge to a new trilogy, which will feature a cameo by Daisy Ridley's Rey. Guys, I actually quite liked her character, and I think she did the best with the scripts that she was given. I think, frankly, the sequel trilogy scripts were uh, you know, Force Awakens got the New Hope parallel. I am not a fan of The Last Jedi. Then Rise of Skywalker, I actually thought was kind of entertaining in the movie theater, but then when you break it down as a movie, it's not great. Like, there was a lot of just fan service or attempted fan service, like, with bringing Lando back. Uh, yeah, I mean, when we're looking and breaking this down, I do think they need to do something with Ray. I think they can do a lot more with Ray as a character. And I think she kind of deserves her chance, especially after all of this backlash she presumably got from this sequel trilogy. And a lot of those actors kind of deserve more. I know certain people, like with Poe, is probably done as a character. Who knows if Finn would come back, or John Boyega? Maybe he would actually. I think if they said, "Hey, look, we're going to make you a Force sensitive user or a Jedi," he probably would come back. I don't know. I know there's a whole bunch of stuff where he's talked in the media about certain things. I can't keep track of all of that. But this leak in itself does make me kind of interested to see what's next and what will be coming for the franchise of Star Wars. And I'm now more curious about this movie and how it will react. It's going to have to do better than the 300 million, which I think Ryan Gosling will bring a crowd in itself. I think it can if they strategically play this right. Even if it was a bad movie, it has new characters. It's something new. It's not a generic story like The Mandalorian and Grogu seems to be. I think people thought, or I think Disney made a, I'm not going to say they made a miscalculation, because I think they made The Mandalorian and Grogu as like, okay, this is our little entry point back into the theaters. But I think when it comes to this being new and having force sensitive characters in this, I think you needed force sensitive characters in the return to the big screen for it to be huge, to gross over $1 billion. I think this does have, like, even just hearing this, if they do it correctly, I do think it will be a pretty entertaining movie. And if it leads into Ray training this, I kind of like that, her creating this new Jedi Order. And then possibly, they've shown in the Maul series, spoilers for the Maul series, where Darth Talon now is potentially a thing. And then do you get that kind of story potentially with the sequel trilogies, where she's still alive potentially, and then maybe this kid, and it'll fast forward like 15 years with Ray and this kid, and they have to end up fighting Darth Talon. We don't know. I guess we'll see. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are in the comments below. Hit that like button, and we'll see you guys next time.